Against my better judgment, I'm back with another British film. Last time I talked about a British movie, I got all these annoying comments because one of the actresses was new to me. Oh, how had you never heard of Joyce Margaret Braithwaite from Essexboroughshire? She was on the show All My Crumpets in the 70s and married to the Earl of Glastonburyshire before he became the Knight Regent of Bury Gloucestershire. Do you people even listen to yourselves? Welcome to Exploitation Reviews, and me, Rob, and today I'm taking a look at the Flesh and Blood show from 1972. This film is a British proto-slasher of sorts, mainly of the not very bloody sorts, and actually, had it been made in Italy rather than England, this would certainly be a giallo. Lots of shared DNA with those films. Anyway, if you're looking for a little mystery, a little danger, and some big British bits and bobs, this might be for you. Let's check it out. We open on a card telling us that during the final scenes, if we use a colored viewer, we'll be able to enjoy the pleasures of the third dimension. I'm ready. I do so enjoy the pleasures of the third dimension. Everything else is kind of flat. And then, with a scream and some flowing red, the credits begin. After the credits, some ladies are in bed and someone is at the door. The blonde reluctantly and completely nakedly gets up to answer that door. Naturally, that's nothing you can see here on YouTube.
Now, just work here.
But of course, we don't have to stay here. Support the channel on Patreon and get access to uncensored, spicy versions of my reviews. Link is in the description. At the door is a stabbed man. The ladies are freaked out, but it was all a prank by their actor friend. It turns out that they are actors as well, and all of them have landed roles in something called the Flesh and Blood show. We hop over to some other actors at a rough-cut screening of their new film, and then all of our actors make their way to the location, a derelict theater on a pier. At the theater, they run across some other actors, one of whom is topless. Let's skip that. The other one is played by Robin Askwith, who viewers of this show might recognize from Confessions of a Window Cleaner. I should probably cover that one at some point. Later, they all have their first rehearsal. Looks like they'll be doing a stage show of the Hammer classic 1 Million Years BC. Later, two of the ladies think that stands for Before Clothing. That night, they all wake up to the sound of screaming, the scary kind, not the before clothing kind. Under the stage, it looks like one of the girls has lost her head. This gloved person's deep breathing suggests he's a fan of her head. One of the troupe calls the cops in, but all they find is a mannequin, so it seems to be another prank. Maybe. And then the troupe finds a letter from the girl saying that she took off and didn't want to be in the play. Very suspicious. The resident prankster disappears as well, and the troupe thinks that it's all part of the same prank. Perhaps he was embarrassed for going too far. Some old people in town invite the troupe over for tea and tell them that years back an actor and his wife disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Is history repeating itself? And there are other mysteries here as well, like who exactly hired this troupe of actors and brought them here and why. Well, I'm not one to spoil mysteries, so that's enough out of me as far as plot goes. Let's talk some highlights. Well, there are some nice-looking big British bits and bobs in this, including one from a boy. The film isn't wildly sleazy, and in truth, I would have liked it a lot more if it had been wildly sleazy. As it is, there are a few good scenes, and a few scenes which could have been good had they gone on a bit longer. And I'm not talking about the British boy. Beyond the eye candy, the story comes together okay. It's a typical giallo kind of story with red herrings and swerves and whatnot, and if you like that stuff, this movie has that stuff. To tell you the truth, I'm not a big giallo fan, which is why I don't talk about them on the channel much. And so I wasn't really into this, but I know plenty of you out there do like giallo, so your mileage may vary. Regardless, like an actress who's a professional at faking it, this film has some shortcomings. Well, the film is way too dark. It was shot on location rather than a studio, and that definitely contributed to the lighting issues. And it's a film from the 70s, and those tend to be pretty dark when they do external nighttime shots. This was partly for the aesthetic trends of the time. Outside is dark, so it makes sense if you're going for realism, the film will be dark. Personally, though, realism be damned, when I watch a movie, I vastly prefer to see something. Call me crazy. And even when the film is well lit, the color palette is pretty dreary. Lots of browns and tans and earth tones. Not my thing. The opening text of the movie promised the end of the film would allow us to experience the pleasures of the third dimension. On my DVD, though, this section is not in 3D, but black and white. And I suppose that makes sense, but I would have liked the option to see what the 3D looked like, maybe as a special feature. I mean, there were some big British bits and bobs in there that might have benefited by bobbing in 3D. So that was kind of sad. As I mentioned earlier, the on-screen violence here is kept to a minimum, which might disappoint some. But that didn't really bother me. This film is from 1972. The violent slasher trend was still a few years away at that point. Kinda. Bay of Blood had already come out, and that's a pretty violent giallo. But, in general, the psycho killer thrillers of the time didn't always have lots of gore set pieces, so this film does fit in with its time fairly well. One thing the film could have done a better job with, though, was the sexiness. The girls here look great, and I would have appreciated more of them bobbing Britishly as opposed to the numerous, rather boring conversations that the troupe had in the movie about what they thought was really going on. I'm not a fan of giallos, and I still like this okay. It's not the worst one I've seen, but the Italian ones often did a few things that I like that this film would have benefited from. The color palettes in Italian giallos were often brighter with more dramatic splashes of color, and they often turned on the lights when Edwige Fenech took off her clothes.